Today, I'm going to tell you an incredible story of transformation, resilience, and royal destiny. It's about Stephanie of Luxembourg, who recently reached the culmination of her journey by becoming Grand Duchess after the abdication of her father-in-law, Grand Duke Henri. She's a woman who had to face many personal challenges before finding her place in one of Europe's most modest yet fascinating royal families. Honestly, I've always admired people who manage to keep their dignity, even in the toughest moments. And Stephanie's story is exactly about that. Stéphanie Marie Claudine Christine de Lannoy was born in 1984 in Ronse, East Flanders, the youngest of 8 children. She grew up in her family's castle on the outskirts of Brussels, descended from an old noble line tracing back to the 13th century. It's hard not to notice that in our time, such ancient dynasties feel like living reminders of European history, where the past and the present intertwine in one person. Who could have imagined that this woman, passionate about Russian and German literature, would one day become the mother of the youngest heir to a throne in Europe and the new Grand Duchess of Luxembourg? On October 3, 2025, at the age of 41, Stephanie took a decisive step in her life, accepting the title of Grand Duchess after her father-in-law abdicated in favor of her husband, now Grand Duke Guillaume. In an elegant long gown of lavender blue, decorated with delicate embroidery on the bodice and a flowing cape, she opened a new chapter of her life, one that placed her at the forefront of both institutional and media life. When you look at her recent photos, it's impossible not to notice how confidence and calm have replaced the shyness she once had when she first entered the royal household. But her story began much earlier. Stephanie and Guillaume met in 2004 at a dinner with mutual friends, although the real spark between them didn't ignite until 5 years later at a party in Berlin. As is often the case with royal romances, they kept their relationship secret for a while, protecting it from the press and public attention. It was only in April 2012 that they officially announced their engagement from Berg Castle. "I remember the day I met Guillaume," Stephanie once said in an interview shortly before the wedding. "I told my friend I had met an exceptional man, someone I had so much in common with. I honestly didn't believe such a person could exist. Of course, I believe in a prince on a white horse." Those words sound especially sincere. In an age when even monarchies have become pragmatic, seeing true love in a royal story feels genuinely inspiring. Yet life didn't hesitate to test her strength. Just 2 months before the long-awaited wedding, Stephanie's mother, Countess Alex, passed away in the midst of the wedding preparations. The ceremony, held on October 20th, 2012, at the Cathedral of Notre-Dame in Luxembourg, began with a minute silence in her memory. As a tribute to her mother, Stephanie wore her mother's wedding ring along with her own. It's hard to imagine how painful it must have been to walk down the aisle while carrying such a loss. But it's moments like these that make royal stories truly human. And that wasn't the only challenge she faced. In record time, she had to transform herself from a literature scholar working in an investment company into a princess ready to represent a country. Learning Luxembourgish, mastering royal protocol, studying international relations, and even changing her Belgian citizenship to Luxembourgish all became part of an intense preparation process that ended just days before the wedding, when Parliament finally granted her citizenship. I think that period was her real school of life. Not every aristocratic woman would dare to undergo such a complete transformation for a new role. For the ceremony, Stephanie chose a design by Elie Saab and, breaking tradition, decided to wear a tiara that had belonged to her own family since the 19th century. After the ceremony, the couple surprised everyone by sharing not 1, but 3 kisses on the balcony of the Grand Ducal Palace, sealing their union before the eyes of the nation and the many European royal houses present at the event. It was like a scene straight out of a movie, not just formality, but a genuine expression of affection, rare in such protocol-filled occasions. The years that followed weren't easy for the new hereditary princess. Interestingly, it was Maria Theresa, the former Grand Duchess, who became a strong source of support after the loss of Stephanie's mother. After my mother's death, the Grand Duchess was very present in my life and helped me find something like a second mother here in Luxembourg, Stephanie once said, showing the bond that developed between the two women despite their differences. Often, behind the facade of perfect royal relationships lies tension, but here we see a rare example of female solidarity within a royal household. The real turning point for Stephanie came in 2020, when she gave birth to her son, Prince Charles. 3 years later, in 2023, the family grew again with the birth of another son, Prince Francois, further strengthening the dynastic line. When you look at their family photos, what strikes you is their naturalness. No flashy luxury, just a genuinely happy family, even if they wear crowns. Today, little Charles, who is only 5 years old, has become the youngest heir to a throne in Europe, surpassing the Prince of Bhutan who previously held that title. A little boy who will one day inherit the only existing Grand Duchy in the world. The celebrations marking the transfer of power were magnificent. After the official abdication on October 3rd, the new Grand Duke and Grand Duchess hosted their first state banquet with all the splendor typical of such occasions, including an impressive display of tiaras. The following Saturday, Guillaume began a short tour of 4 towns located in different parts of the country, meeting his wife and children in one of them, marking their first public appearance as the new Grand Ducal family. In the evening, they attended a concert held in their honor, and on Sunday, the 3-day celebration concluded with a special mass at the cathedral. This attention to detail in organizing the events shows how much Luxembourg, despite its small size, cherishes its traditions and symbols. At 41, Stephanie seems to have truly found her place. From the shy young woman who once avoided the media, she has grown into a confident and respected representative of the crown, gradually earning the admiration of her people and the affection of other royal families. The fact that her mother-in-law, known as one of the most demanding figures among Europe's royals, now occasionally lends her favorite jewels to Stephanie for major occasions, speaks volumes about the trust she has earned. To me, that's the highest form of recognition in any royal family, when it's not your title, but your character that becomes the real source of respect. Stephanie's story reminds us that behind the glamour and privileges of royal life stand real people who face hardships, losses, and moments of uncertainty. Her journey from Belgian countess to Grand Duchess is a testament to perseverance, adaptability, and inner strength. Personally, I see it as a story about how, even in the world of monarchies, where so much is decided for you, it's still possible to remain true to yourself and shape your own destiny. A woman who, step by step, built her own path within the complex world of European royalty. Now, as Grand Duchess of Luxembourg, Stephanie is beginning a new chapter, taking on a leading role on the international stage and supporting her husband in the mission to modernize an age-old monarchy, while raising 2 little princes who represent the future of the institution. Without a doubt, we'll be watching closely the next steps of this remarkable woman who has proven that even in modern fairy tales, princesses can overcome obstacles and write their own story of resilience.